Yo, shout out to whoever is on my YouTube channel right now. I got one viewer on the YouTube channel hanging out. I appreciate you, whoever joined in first. It is one of the most cool things to see people join before the show starts. But today we are on episode 38 of the Think Big podcast, which means we've been going consistent for 38 weeks. So shout out to you, Daryl, Alejandro, and Sam for keeping this thing going. Shout out to Sam really for being the one that pulled us all together to get this show started. So if you guys are getting value from the show week after week, let Sam know in the comments that you appreciate him because this was his brainchild and I've been having a lot of fun. I'm excited for tonight's conversation. Sam, do you want to lead us into like basically how tonight's going to go? Because it's going to be a bit of a different episode. It's not going to be the same that y'all are normally used to.
Yeah, so today's going to be unique and it's going to be important, and it might be more important than anything we've probably done so far, and that is my hope. And my hope is that people watch this episode, to those absolutely fantastic psychopathic people who've seen all 38 episodes. I want them to watch this one and end this one thinking that is the most important one they've ever done. And something extremely important has happened for me in the last 24 hours, and it's something that's going to manifest in a week or two. And it has been an amazing reminder for what this is all about. So today's topic, it's not going to be about leads. It's not going to be about business. Business will always tie in, right? But we're not going to be talking tactics. We're not going to be talking any of that stuff. Because right now, today, all of that stuff is fluff. We're going to be talking about the most important thing, and that is our purpose on this planet, understanding what it is, and understanding how can we actually live in our purpose. So to give you guys some context, for anybody that didn't know, my background before I got into this game was in law enforcement. Basically, got to do a lot of cool things going after not so amazing human beings who did other not so amazing things to other people. Cool. Great fun. And what that was for me was passion, right? It was a passion. It was a season of my life that I was on a mission, right? That mission had me passionate. I wanted to go do big things and save lives and do everything that I could to create a real impact in this world. And eventually we had to get into real estate, into business to make more money. And then we're in the trenches. And we're building and we're doing all these great things and we're achieving greatness. And where the hell did the mission go? What happened to it? And then what we tell ourselves is, hey, everyone here is guilty of this. Everybody. We have these goals in business. And we say, once we've achieved all of our goals, we've reached $1 billion. We have the empire. Then we're going to go do the things that we're passionate about. Then we're going to go on an art spree. Then I'm going to learn how to paint. Then I'm going to take my wife on a global tour. And it's always pushing it. It's pushing it down the road. And one thing that was a massive thing for me in the law enforcement space, it's something that I never got to do, but it's something that I wanted to pursue immensely. It's something that I wanted to put my career on. And that was combating one thing mainly, and that was human trafficking. Right now, just so you guys know, this is actually a fact. Slavery in the world is larger now than it's ever been. Problem is, we just don't know it. Why? Because our media doesn't cover it. Why? Because it doesn't sell. Influence and attention is all that matters in 2023. And talking about the grim realities of the world are just not what media wants to do. It's not marketable. It's not sexy. It doesn't sell tickets. You can't easily throw Bud Light commercials on it and have a sponsorship deal. It's not fun. But it's probably the most important thing there is to combat today. And in about a week and a half, my brother Daryl and I are going to be in Kalispell, Montana. I never thought I'd say that in my life. We're going to be at this amazing event put on by several of our mentors called this community camp. And I just found out that the keynote speaker for the dinner is none other than a wonderful human being. His name is Tim Ballard. Tim is the founder and former CEO of this amazing organization. It's called Operation Underground Railroad, OUR. And if that sounds familiar, yes, it is an homage to the amazing work that Harriet Tubman did freeing slaves from the South and bringing them into the North. Now, Operation Underground Railroad combats modern day human trafficking all over the world, from the sex slave industry, from terrorist organizations, from all of these other horrific things. Tim himself has probably freed hundreds, if not thousands, of innocent lives and given them not just a new lease on life, but actually saving their lives. Tim Ballard's going to be the speaker at the keynote dinner. It is going to be an amazing thing. I hope we raise tons of funds for it. And then I shared this with our mentor, Pace, who he's kind of the front runner for this entire event. And I said, Pace, dude, thank you so much. He didn't know it at the time. He knew about somewhat of my background in law enforcement, but not the whole thing. And I kind of gave it into a little bit more into him. And I told him, like, hey, Tim's actually been one of my role models since college for a long time now. He's been one of my heroes, because my goal is to have that level of impact, right? Not just make money, not just do well, not just have all the accolades come to me, but to have true impact. And then Pace, being the amazing human being he is, he said, I'm going to get you a private meeting with Tim so you can collaborate with him. One of my big goals, and I always put this off, and I didn't put a timestamp on it because I didn't know when it would be achievable, is I said that pretty soon, sooner rather than later, right? And see, that is such an ambiguous term. It's total bullshit saying sooner rather than later. I told myself, we're going to raise millions of dollars for combating human trafficking so we can save some lives. Well, the cool thing is this: that timeline got expedited. It is now within the next 12 months. And it is going to, the catalyst for this truly is getting to meet him. And what's happened is, in this whirlwind of 24 hours for me, is I have been front-faced with the fact that I'm going to make a crap ton of money and I'm going to achieve a crap ton of resources, but it is not to hoard it to myself. It is to do everything I can to not just change lives. I think that's an antiquated statement in entrepreneurship, is let's change lives. Guys, there's more. Why change lives when you can save lives? That's the mission that I'm on. I've had a renewed sense of motivation in that. I believe that over the next 12 to 24 months, getting back into this and having this be a focal point in all of my businesses, in my whiteboard, on my goal setting, in all of it, that I am now going to start living in my purpose. And this is an important topic, guys. We're all in the business. We're all in the trenches. We're all growing. But our purpose is why we do this. Our purpose is what the hell is at the end of the rainbow that we're trying to chase. In today's discussion, I want to really be about reminding ourselves, one, we're all going to talk about what our purpose is, but two, we're going to challenge this preconceived notion that our purpose is later down the road. Oh, I got to go become a billionaire first to go save lives, to combat human trafficking. So I'll come back to me, and I want to show you guys how I plan truly in my goal setting, in my day-to-day life, in the things that I do, to start raising. My goal 2024, by the end of 2024, is to have raised $1 million for Operation Underground Railroad. That's my goal. And I'm already formulating a game plan around it. And guess what? The second that I started doing that, I realized I didn't need to become a billionaire first. I didn't need to wait 10 years to do it. I could do that shit right now. So, Marlon, you are one of the most big picture human beings I've ever met in my life. Let me ask you this, brother. What is your purpose?
Man, that's a great question. So, first off, Sam, I absolutely love you. I love the fact that you figure out how to incorporate your purpose in today, because a lot of times, as you state, people think that it's something that comes afterwards, and we often lose sight of the purpose in pursuit of the purpose, right? We want to do it for our family, we want to do it for our community, we want to do it for our friends, and all in pursuit of it, we start to sacrifice them along the way. So we finally get the paint, but we don't have a wall to paint it on anymore. So I love this. So for me, and it's such a timely conversation that we're having here. You know, in fact, I'm wearing a shirt that says God is dope, right? And this is genuinely by accident as far as today's conversation. However, a big purpose for me is coming back to God. And I know that, again, this isn't something that's typically spoken about on social media. It's not something that's typically shared. I know growing up, you were taught not to talk about a handful of things: religion, politics, and money. And, for me, it's more of a connection to my higher self. It's a connection to the being that created this universe. I truly do believe that there's a God. And ultimately, when I go out and I do cool things, when I go out and I make money, when I go out and I make impact, one of the biggest things I've asked of myself earlier, which, funny enough, Sam, I started to step away from and I started to lose sight of, is I ask that as I do amazing things in my life, as I do things with my life, that I don't let it grow my ego, that I'm able to point back to God, that I'm able to say to somebody when they say, "How did you do that?" I can say, "I did it with his help." Right? I truly, that's something that was very near and dear to me. And it's a path, it's something that I find myself, I will waver in, because I will get so in the weeds that sometimes I forget. And that's why I have brothers like Daryl, I have brothers like Keston, I have brothers like Donovan who will remind me of my higher purpose. That, hey, this isn't about you. It never was about you. It's about a higher being, a higher purpose. It's about, in this case for me, it's God. And it's about taking care of God's children, which is everybody else. That's how I start to really show my appreciation. And so I bring it back to purpose for that standpoint of recognizing, to what you said, Sam, everything that I go and gather as a resource, be it money, be it relationships, be it skills, all of that, those are things that are tools. Tools towards what end? Tools towards serving other individuals, serving other people. And so that is something that I have to remind myself. And I love this conversation because when we're working in our purpose, interestingly enough, the energy to do the work is associated, it comes with it. The energy to wake up, the energy to put in the hours, to put in the long hours, to do the uncomfortable things. That energy is found when we're tapping into that purpose. So, Sam, I love this conversation tonight, and I'm curious to hear, I want to know with Daryl as well. I want to hear each of our purpose, but Daryl, I want to hear yours.
Yeah, this is a really good conversation. Thanks for that. Thanks for bringing this up, Sam. So with me, mine is very similar to yours, Marlon. Like I know for a fact that I'm supposed to be on stages, right, speaking to millions of people, helping them just realize that there's so many different ways than what they may be surrounded by, right, or they may know. I want to help people get out their environment. I want to help, like you said, God's people grow. And one thing for me that's really big is helping the inner city youth, right? Because there's a lot of people who I know for me, right? Like I can only think of a few things when I was younger that I could do as an adult to make money, right? And so that's why I wanted to be an athlete, right? I didn't want to sell drugs. I didn't want to go the other ways was that I was like witness to, that I was surrounded by. So I went another route, right? And it took me until I got, like, I had to leave my my community. I had to leave my hometown to really understand and see, like, there's so much bigger world out here, right? And I want to expose that to kids that are in the inner city who may not have the resources to leave, right? Like, I want to go back to these smaller towns, and I want to build community centers. I want to give them resources. I want to, build parks, right? Do that type of things. And it all, like Marlon was saying, right? Like it's not our money, right? Like, I'm not making all this money just for me, right? I'm making it to support God's people and give back, you know.
So I wanna hit on this because this matters, and this is such an important thing that was, it was like almost like a daily discussion back in the day, back in law enforcement days, but it's not something we really talk about now. Do you guys know what time of day is actually the most dangerous time of day for adolescents?
I don't.
It's between 3 to 5 p.m. Monday through Fridays. It is the national standard hours after school
Mhm.
when kids are out of school and their parents aren't back home from work yet because they get off at 5 and they probably won't get back till 5:30. Those unsupervised hours are when pretty much adolescents across the country, but especially in the inner city, especially inner city youth, they get into crap they shouldn't be getting into without a shadow of a doubt. And when you're dealing with inner city youth that is unsupervised, growing up in areas that are stricken with poverty, you have, unfortunately, truth be told, there's predators who look for just that. This is the most critical thing out there. And a lot of people don't realize this, that Daryl, I mean, you mentioned that when, growing up in some of the areas that you grew up in, you only knew of a certain few ways to guarantee to make money. Let me ask you this. Were any of those guaranteed ways of making money illegal?
Majority of them were.
The majority of them were illegal.
Bro, there's 3 options. It was play sports, be an athlete, be a rapper, or sell drugs. As one of the 3.
That's it. That's
Drugs are like
absolutely it.
everything illegal, right? Like rob people, scam people. Like that's what people do back home.
That's absolutely it. And the sad truth is we have in the inner city street gangs monitoring for just that, right? It's a magnet for them for new recruits. And this goes back to Daryl. I'm actually really glad there's alignment here. Why does that matter towards me? Guess what? People don't realize it, guys. Inner city youth in America is the number one demographic that modern day human traffickers look for. And their prime hunting grounds during the day, 3 to 5 p.m. So when these abductions happen, it's when they're unsupervised. It's when there are not adults nearby. And it's usually when these kids are out doing dumb crap they shouldn't be doing. And then like when you're doing dumb stuff, right? When you're a teenager, when you're smoking weed after class, you're doing just dumb shit. There's a lot of punishments that are worth having, right? Like being scolded by your parents, right? Maybe scolded by a teacher, all this stuff. But one of those things that should never happen is the reality of what's happening in a lot of places that are basically nothing but ghettos. And it's that we have hunting grounds, not just for street gangs, but for cartels, the Sinaloa cartel, the Guatemalan cartel. Even though they're not in Sinaloa, they're not in Guatemala, they're looking in places like this. I'm in California. The major metros in California, the inner city youth, prime stomping grounds and prime hunting grounds for human trafficking victims. So, dude, the fact that you're trying to get to this youth and educate them and revitalize their communities, what you're doing is you're providing them options in life, right? And then this is so good because like I want this to tie into what you're so good at, because you are obviously a former collegiate football player. You're an amazing coach in everything that you do. But this is why after school sports programs are critical, not just for kids everywhere to develop their skill sets, but literally to occupy their time and give them supervision so they can't be hunted by people who are worse. So it's like we look at a lot of famous athletes. Kobe did this a ton. LeBron has done this. They've gone into inner cities, and what have they done? They don't go and just like donate money. They don't go found new libraries. What do? They create sports programs.
Yep.
And they'll bring athletics and coaching into these areas to occupy these children's time, these adolescents' time. So they cannot possibly be taken. They cannot be taken by the worst things in the world. So, dude, that is a phenomenal freaking purpose.
Bro, I just want to bring up, because you just brought up LeBron James. He actually just did some dope stuff that gave me a lot of inspiration. So he has a school, right? He has like a charter school for inner city youth in Akron, I believe. And all the students and their families who go to his school, they bought an apartment building, and they all are living in this apartment building rent free, all the families, which is crazy. And that's what actually had me, like, I seen that the other day, and I actually went back to revisit my purpose, right? Because if you would have asked me this question like a week ago, I probably would have been like thinking like, man, what is my purpose? But then I seen that and I was like, damn, this is why I'm doing this. This is a reminder of why I'm doing this. And you know, it was just great to see. But no, Sam, I'm glad you connected 2 and 2 together, because our purposes are very much aligned. You know, I wasn't even thinking about, you know, all the trouble that kids can get into after school. And like, just not even trouble they can get into, but trouble that other people are actively seeking to get them into, and that's what saved me, right? Like I didn't get into the streets because I was busy. Like I had practice all the time, right? So I was too busy to even think about that. And then on top of that, the people that like my neighbors, my friends who were in the streets, they respected me more because I was playing the sport, right? So they wouldn't even be like, they wouldn't even try to encourage me to get into the, like, I mean, some people would obviously, but most people wouldn't. They're like, man, you play sports, right? Like you're a good kid, right? You don't belong out here, So it's super important to have these programs and get the kids there,
It's so good that you said that, man. And it's sad that I view things this way. I think in an element it's sad, but it's like I've just learned to view life in a certain lens where like I have to consider what the bad guys look for because it's the reality of the world. But what you mentioned, right? Just being in sports. Truth be told, there's been so many studies where they've gone to inmates who are in prison and they've done these massive, massive studies and surveys. And the one thing they always look for, whether it's in a woman or a child or a youth, is who's an easy target, whether it's to recruit them into a gang. One thing that street gangs look for, they don't look for the big athletic kid who's strong and can hold his own and just got off wrestling practice. What are they looking for? They're looking for the kid that's being bullied and needs belonging and needs homes and needs muscle to back him, right? Well, they did this massive study several years ago, and they basically went and interviewed, like, I think hundreds, if not thousands, of rapists who were in prison. And the one thing they looked for, and a lot of them were human traffickers too, they were looking for these women not just to assault them sexually, but to actually pull them into a trafficking ring, is they looked for things like, is her hair in a ponytail? Because it's easier to grab and easier to manipulate the head that way. Are they alone? Are they on their phone when they're out in public? All of these things, these little nuances, unfortunately, are things that these people pay attention to. So the fact that, you're going to football practice every single day after school, and I can almost guarantee, like, you're walking back home, you're doing whatever you do after you're done with practice, you're probably with a group of guys. You're with a group of other big guys. And it's like you just protected yourself just through your presence alone from getting into worse things. So, dude, I absolutely love that. We need to absolutely hear from Mr. Batman, because I mean, God, if there's anyone who's going to take on the trafficking rings, it's actually not me. It's Batman over here. Mr. Alvarez, what is your purpose?
Well, first and foremost, man, I'm really grateful to share the purposes, our purposes together, with you guys. Ever since I've met you guys, we've done nothing but improve ourselves. So it's really great to see that we're not out here wasting our time or consuming content just to say we did something. We're actually putting action. We're going through a lot of hurdles, ups and downs. It's beautiful to see that. So I'm super grateful to be part of this circle, so I appreciate you guys for that. But my purpose, just to put in a simple matter, it would be to be a sacrificial lamb. Is that what it is? Did I pronounce it right? Sacrificial lamb, and do cool shit while I'm at it. Just do a whole bunch of cool stuff. Travel, look around the world. And what I mean by that is that I would say 99% of the people that I know or that I experience, they're not doing the things that we're doing, right? Hey, I'm going to go out to the bar. Well, I'm going to go to sleep early so I can be really energized at 3:00 in the morning. And it doesn't bother me. When I speak to other people about this, they're like, man, that sounds like it's a lot on you. I'm like, actually, it doesn't. It brings me joy to do so. Right? Like when I see someone going through a dark phase in their life and I can bring them out of that by simply talking to them and telling them my experience, that brings me joy. Whenever my mom needs something and I am financially stable to do something for her, that brings me joy. Right? So all that stuff just brings me happiness. So just to keep it really simple, guys, that's really what it is, man. To do the opposite of what the 99% of the humans are doing here on this earth, so I can provide for others in need.
It's I love that you said that, and you worded that, and you used the term 99%. One of my old mentors, who's actually back in the college tennis days, he was my coach, and he very much lived a life. Like, there's people who live life, and there's people who like live every moment of life to its fullest capability. And he had this saying, and I totally stole it from him. And he said that he wants to live a life that 99.99% of the world could never even fathom. And so whenever he was presented an opportunity to do the craziest shit, he would just do it. And his barometer wasn't his own fear. It wasn't his own fear. It was just how many people relatively have actually done this one thing. So, Marlon, you and I had the amazing honor of jumping out of a plane with you, which was kind of a cool freaking thing to do, right? And one of the things that helped me kind of settle the nerves going up in that plane was asking myself, literally going up the plane, I was like, damn, this is tough. This is difficult. We're literally about to jump out of a plane, 17,000 feet in the air. And what's going to keep us together is strings and a kite, effectively. And I asked myself, looking as we're going down, how many of those people down there have actually done this? And I thought about it. I'm like, maybe less than 98% of all mankind has ever done that. And then we did it, and it was the most amazing thing I've ever done. And then, my first thought after I landed, I looked around, and we were in a room of a ton of people who just did the same jump. And I'm like, I need to go higher because all these people just did the jump. I need to go do something better that these people have not done. And then so I'm like, cool, how high can we jump? Because all these people just did 17,000. That's like the standard. Now I'm like, great. What's the highest you can legally jump in America? It's about 32,000 feet. It's called a halo jump, high altitude, low oxygen. You pretty much have to wear an external oxygen mask and like a whole freaking apparatus because there's no oxygen up there. And then I thought to myself, and I went up to one of my instructors, and the guy who I jumped with, who was like making sure I survived, he's like 19. He's done like 1,500 jumps. I'm like, okay, if anyone's done it, to figure out like how many people he's done it. Hey man, have you ever done that biggest jump? He's like, dude, hell no, I'm never gonna do that. And I was like, one, the thought process is you could be afraid because of that. But my thought process was, okay, if he hasn't done it, then I would imagine the majority of skydivers haven't done it. So now it went from 98% to 99% haven't done this. And then the cool thing is I love that, man, because it's not just about making all the money, but it's about literally doing things with it, right? Whether it's to serve others, whether it's to save lives, whether it's to get inner city youth out of it, whether it's to edify and praise God, whatever your reasoning is. What is absolutely not okay in my mind, and people can hate me for this, is achieving all that wealth and achieving that power and achieving that influence and doing absolutely freaking nothing with it other than hoarding it to yourself. At the very least, go live a life that no one else has. If you're a billionaire and all you do is hang out at home, play video games, and go to Target every now and then, everybody does that. You just achieved wealth and success and resources that are unavailable to the vast majority of all of mankind. And then you've managed to live a mediocre life with it.
Well, bro, that's right there, the story of the talons, which is a story that was in the Bible that I never understood growing up. And when I heard it growing up, every time I heard it, because, most of the time in church, I'd be dead asleep, just being honest. Like, I was not a church kid by any means. Like, my parents, I thought church was punishment, actually. Like, dang, why y'all waking me up so early on a Sunday, forcing me to get dressed and taking me to this place where we've got to sit here for like 3 hours and I'm going to pass out. Why do I have to do this? And so on occasion, when I would be awake or the message would kind of get through, there was always this story of the talons. And it goes to your point. In the story, it goes a little something like this. There's a master, and he has these 3 slaves that he calls to the courtyard. And he lets them know, listen, I'm leaving town for a bit. And as I leave town, I'm going to leave you each in responsibility, I'm going to give you guys responsibility to take care of these talons, which is like money, right? So to the first, he called each of them in accordance to their ability. So he calls the first, he hands them 5 and says, this is for you. Calls the second, hands him 2, this is for you. Calls the third, hands him 1, and this is for you. So it's like they get $5, $2, and $1. And it's given to them based on their ability. The master leaves. A few months later, he returns. They all know he's coming back on this day, so they all gather in the courtyard. And when the master returns, he says, bring me my slaves. And he proceeds to ask, how did you do with what I gave you? The first slave says, master, you gave me 5 talents. And I went into the marketplace and I found a shoemaker. And I took my talents, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but I took my talents, I gave it to the shoemaker. He was like, yo, bet, we're about to go make some Jordans with this. We're going to go double production. We'll get a good ROI on it. And they went out and they sold more. And he was able to bring me my 5 talents back, plus an additional 5 on top of that. I doubled what you gave me. Here are your 10 talents. Master says, great job. You killed it out there. Second slave, how did you do? Master, you gave me 2. I went into the marketplace. I found the bread maker. And the bread maker, he needed some more to be able to buy more material so he could feed more people during the lunchtime rush. So I invested my 2 talents with him. He went out, he was able to sell more. He gave me back the 2 plus 2 on top. Doubled it before, master. Here you go. Excellent, man. I'm running a well-oiled machine here. Third slave, how do you do? Master, I knew you would be back this day, and I know how upset you can get when people mess with your stuff. So when you handed me that first talent, I took it out back, I buried it, and I dug it up for you today, knowing that you would return. Here you go. Here's your 1 talent back. If you know this story, you know how it goes. He said, out of here with you, you wicked slave. Kicked him out, banished him, took the 1 talent that he had and handed it to the guy that got 10. And I was a kid. I was so confused, Sam. Why would he do that? Why did he banish him? Why did he take away and give to the guy who already had so much more? And it wasn't until I started to get older that I understood. The master was punishing him because what he said is, I gave you this gift, and instead of sharing the gift with the world, you hid the gift. You did nothing with the gift I gave you. You had this resource, and not only did you do nothing with it because you were too afraid, right? You should not have a spirit of fear. You were too afraid to do anything. You also prevented others from winning. Think about it. The shoemaker's life, that guy's life got better, right? The people who were able to buy the shoes, their lives got better. The bread maker, his life got better. The people who were able to eat got better. The work they were able to do as a result of having sustenance inside of them. The whole community grew exponentially because they took their resources and went out into the world and did something with their resources, did something with their gift. This is what it's like to live in purpose. It's to recognize when you're given gifts, when you're given blessings, to go out into the world and do something meaningful and useful with it and not live in the spirit of fear. But if you're not concentrating on your purpose, by nature, you're concentrating on the other thing. If I'm not tending my garden and growing roses, weeds are growing in it. There's no in between. The garden doesn't just sit there. Something will grow. So this is so important. I love what you said, right? Like a billionaire sitting down, not doing epic stuff. Who's he inspiring? Right? Like who's going to say, yeah, I want to go be a billionaire. Like that guy does absolutely nothing cool with his life. Doesn't buy a yacht, doesn't travel the world, doesn't help out starving families, doesn't build schools, doesn't add on to libraries, doesn't expand the hospitals, doesn't donate money to cure diseases. Yeah, being a billionaire sounds awesome, right? Like, no, you want to see them go out and do these things. And then as a result, we as individuals right now need to be living in our purpose so that we can be an example. That's a big thing for me, right? Like to be authentically an example, not to be lip service, but to be authentic. And that's huge, huge. And I'm going to like pull back for a second because there was something earlier that I wanted to say, but this would take me like, you're talking about me going down a tangent tonight because like there's a whole tangent I would want to open up, but then we might be hanging out here for more than an hour. Like I'm just being so serious with y'all because there's like a few things that I've held back on saying.
I think the people are here for it,
Bro.
I have a quick question. Actually, you know what? Never mind, bro. You're on fire. Go ahead.
If you got All right, so here's, I'll do my best to be like quick with this, but I do want your guys' opinion on this because it's so funny. I didn't know we were going to be talking about this today. And I love just the open, candid conversation. So right now, I feel like I'm just kicking it around the campfire with my homies. So anyone in the audience, understand right now, I truly feel like I'm just hanging out at the campfire, and this is just campfire talk. And so along with this being campfire talk, I had this amazing, amazing realization today while I was in the gym. I remembered a few years back because we talk about getting in and out of purpose. Real quick, actually, just quick side note. Have you guys ever been in alignment with your purpose and then you found yourself on the journey, building momentum, going out, running through the forest, climbing the mountain, and you started to forget about your purpose, and then you had to refine your purpose? Is that something that's occurred to you all? Right. I'm seeing you guys nod your head yes. Right. And I just want to let everyone know this happens. Right. Like, you might be so crystal clear on your purpose today, and a month into this journey, you might forget. Right. You might have to be reminded. So today I was reminded of something that I had discovered a few years back, which was I call it a download. Right. I call it a download when I get access to, I call it like information from the other side. Right. Whether it's, you call it God talking to you, you call it your intuition, but where like this wisdom just gets downloaded into your mind. So I had this download and I was gaining knowledge from things that I had never experienced. But when I would bring it into the world, the results they were producing was showing me that the knowledge and information I was gathering was in fact applicable and correct. Right. So imagine that, imagine for a way that everyone can understand this. Imagine I downloaded the information on how to wholesale without ever having taken a wholesaling class or master class or any of that. And I went into the marketplace, started applying what I learned, and it started producing positive results. That occurred to me in the past where I was getting this download, came from the big man up top. And so when I was going out and speaking, this is actually where I started to tap into my gift originally of working with people, of being someone that could unlock other people and being a coach, if you will, for lack of better terms, but going out and unlocking other people. It came from this download. I was able to pick up on emotional knowledge, on being able to solve their problems, on being able to read a room, being able to connect with people and really dig deep to the root of their problems and show them another way. All came from a download. And I realized during that time, I was closest to my purpose. I was tapped in and tuned on and turned on to the power, and I was channeling it, not regurgitating it. And so it made me an authentic artifact of the real. And recognizing that's the space I want to live from more often in everything that I do. And recognizing that the people we appreciate the most in this world are the most authentic human beings we know. It's these individuals who, yes, they're doing this and it might bring the spotlight, but they didn't do it for the spotlight. The spotlight is showing up because of how authentic they actually are. And that's a part of living in your purpose. And nowadays, back then, I didn't need the permission, but recently, a good mentor gave me permission to be myself again, to be the authentic version. And so a part of living in that purpose is I want to continue to be that authentic version that's tapped in and turned on and connected to that power. Because that's how I think, and that's my personal opinion on how I can serve and help at the highest level. And I just want to give the audience members right now permission to be you. I want to give all of you permission right now to be your most authentic selves and to chase after the things that you find purposeful and meaningful and that feel like a gift that you're meant to share with the world. So that's my soapbox. Appreciate y'all letting me stand on it.
Bro.
Well, seriously,
I'll say this, guys. I want to hit on something that's really, really, really important. Marlon, this is something I think you and I have talked about quite a bit. And you and I had, I think, an hour and a half or 2 hour phone call the other day when I was stuck at the airport, right? And you and I basically had a discussion about one thing that we kind of talk about quite a bit, and that's entering a season of no, when it's, staying focused in the lane that we're in. But one thing that you and I have constantly found is that when there are times in life when we're working extremely hard. In fact, it feels like we're putting in more input than ever before, but for some reason, the needle's not moving nearly as much as it used to. You guys notice this? I want you all to pay attention to this, and I swear this is true. You will have an epiphany, a revelation, a grand moment of clarity in the world. You will feel like Neo in the Matrix, and you can see the coding everywhere, right? You will feel like that. And then in the subsequent week or two after that, or maybe the month or the next month, what's going to end up happening is you will move the needle not an inch but a mile. 2 months later, 3 months later, you're in the trenches. You're still doing the damn thing. You're doing all the same inputs, but it's not moving a mile anymore. It's moving an inch. It's moving 2 inches. And you can't figure out why. And Marlon and I have had this happen where we felt that way. We felt that way.
Mhm.
And if one of my great role models that I look up to so much, gives me so much clarity in my life, his name is Alex Hormozi, aka Buff Business Jesus. He says this thing, he labels that potency. You're doing the same thing, but you're not getting the same output. What you've lost is your potency. And then I asked Marlon, you know, he's been doing a lot of things, and I hope you're okay with me sharing this.
Bro, open book.
Amazing. You and I spoke recently, and I think you and I were both entering the same kind of problem. We were having the same revelation. You were feeling that you're doing the same thing and you're doing a lot of work, but you don't feel like you're moving, right? You're not growing as much as you want to be. You're not exponential like you were maybe a little bit before that. And then what did we say? We said, or I asked you, it's like, dude, what changed? Have you gone away from doing the things, the most important foundational things that were important to you maybe a couple months ago when you were moving the needle miles? And for you, a lot of that was spiritual. A lot of that was your connection daily, consistently throughout the day to have a strong connection with God. And maybe what used to be a dedicated daily check-in with God or prayer or spiritual, whatever it was, however you connect in that way, right? However you do it, I could almost guarantee that the cadence of that connection slowed down a bit. Everything else could have stayed the same. Your business, your inputs and outputs, I mean, relatively were the same. But one thing that you lost you kind of got off the beaten path with was having those daily check-ins the same way. And then now I love to hear it because you're placing a renewed emphasis on your spiritual relationship with the universe, with God. I mean, you're showing us a podcast with a shirt that says God is dope. So it's very clear that you're doing it. And then what's also happening is I think that very recently, over the last couple of weeks, you've achieved insane clarity in your business, in your purpose as an influencer and as a marketer. And I mean, I don't want to spoil anything up here, but you and I had a very long discussion with what the next 4 to 6 months are going to look like for you. And holy crap, it's not going to be linear. You will not double. You won't even triple. No, you will exponentially grow minimum 4 to 5 times. You will 5x over the next 6 months. And what's cool is that you're probably not doing anything new. You're actually eliminating fluff in one of your businesses. You're pulling you away from things that are wasting your time, doubling down on the things that you know need to work. And then most importantly, I would say, and correct me if I'm wrong, but re-emphasizing your relationship with God and spirituality. That's your core foundation. That's your soul. And you're going back to that. Dude, you're going to move miles, not inches. So I want everyone who's listening, like, you will go through this. We all go through this. For me, a very pivotal moment was when I watched this one video. All these boys have seen it. I forced Marlon to watch it 75 times. Is this really old video by Hormozi about attention being your most important resource and not actually time. And that video changed my life. And I literally shut down a business that was making me 6 figures a month after that video. And then I felt in that time, in the 2-3 months after that, oh my God, I tripled my income. I made way more money and I was moving miles. And then what ended up happening? I deviated. I let another shiny object come in. I lost focus. I lost track of where my attention was going. And then I was moving inches again. So guys, audit your time, audit what you're doing, audit where your attention's going. And if you're not moving the needle as much as you were maybe 6 months ago, ask yourself what changed, because something did.
Dude, well said, man. And this is something that, just going off of this again. This concept of go to your purpose. Everyone, if you're listening in the audience, your purpose is your well. That's where you know to go get clean water from. That's where you know to go get resources and sustenance from. You want to keep coming back to your purpose because that's how you're filling up your bucket. And you don't take your bucket and pour it into others. What you do is you keep filling your bucket up so that the overflow, the excess, because you are so full, the excess is what fills up others. This is how we start to think differently. This is when we talk about thinking big, this is how we do it. This is how we get on another level. Because anytime I've poured into people at the highest level, it's not coming from a place where I'm empty. It's coming from a place where I'm overflowing, I'm overfilled. It's coming from me going back to my buckets, going back to my wells, going back to my people like Sam, like Alejandro, like Daryl, like Donovan, right? Like I go and I plug in to these people. I plug back into church. I plug back into scripture. So keep that in mind, y'all. Now, I'm curious, right? You know, I know you guys just let me stand on my soapbox. Appreciate that. Alejandro, you had a question, like, and I was so, because when you start asking questions, you start asking some dope questions, man.
Man, honestly, it's I feel like it's gonna not go with what the fire you just released, you know. But let's just put that out there. I just wanted to do the Eminem effect real quick, so that way you guys don't judge me. I wanted to ask, and I want to know from everyone, because we all have like our goals and all that. But after you serve others, you work hard, and you're at a billionaire status, right? Because billionaire is the new millionaire. What are you gonna do? What's the first thing you will do with that money? And then let me go to Daryl real quick, because Marlon, you got too much fire. You got a lot of energy right now. We need to bring it down just a little bit real quick. Daryl, what would you do, man? You serve everyone. You got all the money. I mean, you can buy whatever you want. What is that going to look like for you?
What am I going to do when I can buy whatever I want?
Yeah, this is like after you serve everyone you want to serve, and you still continue to serve others. This is for you. What are you going to do for you, for yourself? What does that look like?
Oh, I already know, bro. I'm buying a mega yacht and a McLaren.
It's true. He talks about it every week at the house meeting. Every week.
Do we say McLaren?
A matte black mega yacht that you could live on, that has, like, the back where you can lift the back up, and then boom, 5 jet skis sitting in the back for me and all the guys to do some jet ski water stuff in the back. So yeah,
I like how there's 4 of us. He said 5. I'm like, who's the extra one?
That's what I'm getting. First thing is a mega yacht when I get that fuck you money.
That's dope, man. Can I ask why? Like why the mega yacht in the car?
Why the mega yacht? Because I like yachts, bro. I like the way I feel on the water. Like when I always feel like when I need to get back into alignment, like when I get near like nature, water, right? It's always good for me to get back, right? So
yeah,
I always picture having my like when I visualize, I picture my beach house with the beach entrance, right? You feel me?
There he is. That's our boy. That's our boy out there,
right? So I picture my beach house, like that's literally steps from the beach. Like you have my own private beach with the pool and everything, all that, right? I picture my beach house with my mega yacht just parked in the backyard all the time. And then when I'm just like, man, forget this. I'm gonna call the captain. I'm gonna drive it myself, and I'm gonna just chill in the middle of the ocean and get back.
That's dope. That's really dope. What about you, Mrs. Singh? What are you gonna do?
I want to take it.
And I know it's gonna change. I know it's gonna change, right? The more money we make, the more stuff we get to experience in life. And Daryl might say, you know what? I want a mega yacht that's 5 times the size of what I thought I wanted. You never know. It's just gonna change. So
Yeah,
for
yeah.
now,
The thing that
what
he's
is it?
gonna buy, it probably hasn't even been invented yet. It's gonna be some super yacht that's like
Facts.
20 million times. Yeah,
Bro,
he's
get
gonna
a
buy
yacht.
like an all matte black Titanic that's not gonna sink. That's really
So
what's
he's
gonna
gonna
happen.
he's gonna get a yacht that you park your other yacht inside. Like, you know, like they unload jet
sure.
He's gonna be unloading like his little yacht
For sure.
from the big yacht.
Have you guys seen those? You guys have seen those super yachts, right? Where they have like little excursion
Couple
boats
baby
coming
yachts.
out of it. Yeah.
Yeah, without a doubt. Like, bro, when I was at like when you just showed that video, when I took that, we were just sitting in the marina, and we're just looking at the boats and the yachts drive by, and my girl was like, "Look, that's a yacht that I want to buy," and I'm like, "Nah, that's gonna be the yacht that comes with the one that we buy."
That's the bonus package, you know, because it was like on sale that day. It's like, buy this mega yacht, you get this little one for free. That's exactly it. See, that's how Daryl works, guys. He bundle packages yachts. Why the hell not? But one thing I want to do is I want to take it one step further for you guys, especially with you, Daryl, because I love that. I love the ocean. I love the ocean because I grew up on the ocean. And there was a serenity and a peace there that you just can't find living in the city. And then I recently found out about this because of two amazing human beings named Krista and Dustin Hartman, who I absolutely adore. And they've said this to me, and this is, I know, like the universe manifesting this. And one of my really good friends who I consider like a big brother, his name's Robert Wensley. He's the creator of InvestorLift. And Robert is pretty much going to make $1 billion exit on his company. He's going to, you know, and I asked him, like, dude, you're 32. You're about to make $1 billion net. Like, what are you going to do? Like, what is there to do, especially at that young of an age, right? And he said, Sam, I'm gonna go and buy a catamaran. I'm like, what the hell is a catamaran? I thought it was like that species of cat. And no, he showed me it's this amazing sailboat. And he said, Sam, everyone around me just wants to take from me. And what I want to do is I want to get a catamaran and disappear into the ocean for a year straight and only have my real people with me. And that was really powerful for me, because when he told me that, we were actually at an event and he had to throw this party, and there was about 120 people there who edified him and who glorified him, and probably not a single one of them knew anything about him other than the fact that he's about to be a billionaire. And then Krista and Dustin Hartman, I was with them recently, and then they're emphatic about taking a world tour on a catamaran. And I'm like, okay, I got to look up what this catamaran thing is, because now two groups of people that I love have told me about them. I am absolutely in love with the idea of buying a catamaran. You guys know me. It's just going to be me and my dogs. Me and my dogs are going to get on a catamaran and we're going to disappear for a year. And so, Daryl, what I want you to do, bro, is actually go identify which model yacht, what color, what trim, everything. And this is so powerful, because I was in Puerto Rico with Robert, and he was consulting me on a business that I'm building and that I'm truly going to scale and get to over $100 million. And he's advising me on it. Like, he's very much advising me consistently with it. And then he said, Sam, as a CEO, like, you need to know down to the T what your life is going to look like when you're a billionaire. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, dude, what house are you going to live in? And I'm like, I don't know. He's like, well, no, like, how many windows? How many doors? What color? What does the doorbell sound like when someone rings it? What are you doing from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., from 10 a.m. to noon, from noon to 2? What does your day actually look like? And of course, I didn't have any of these answers, not even close. And then Robert, who had been mentored by someone you guys may know, Richard Branson, the billionaire, founder of Virgin Mobile, like, you know, that billionaire Richard Branson. And then he had a little bit of time with Richard, and Richard poured into him, and he said, hey, you need to know everything about your life, what your house is, what your wife looks like, how much she weighs, how tall she is, what her voice sounds like. Every little detail of your perfect life you have to know, because if you don't know it, you have no control over what it's actually going to be, and then you're leaving it to chance. And you're not going to work your ass off and become a billionaire to leave your life up to chance. And if you do that, you did it for nothing. So Daryl. Okay.
What do you think I didn't know, bro?
He knows what color? Black. Matte black. Matte black. Okay.
With red interior. With the red interior.
So impractical. It's gonna get
And it has
super
a
hot,
helipad.
but it's okay.
And has a helipad.
And has a helipad. Okay, so see, guys, now we're getting clear. And this is one thing that I haven't done yet, and I should have done, and I want you all to do this, guys. This is a fun project. And I have stolen this completely from Robert Wensley. So if you guys ever go hit him up on Instagram, tell him Sam said to do this, and Sam totally stole it. This shifted my perspective. Robert Wensley is a man who has all the potential, I firmly believe, to change the world. He's got the genius, he's got the resources, he's got the intellect, he's got the charisma. He can do it all. I think he's a world changer if he decides to be one. Same thing with Pace Morby, same thing with Hormozy, same thing with a lot of these people that we look up to. And he did this amazing thing where in his office, okay, and I believe Grant Cardone's, I think, the one who he learned this from. He will make fictitious New York Times news articles. Breaking news. Wensley sells company for $1 billion. Breaking news. Marlon Johnson does this. Breaking news. Daryl Ellison buys largest yacht on earth. And then he created these fictitious newspaper titles, right? Like front page covers, framed them, and then put them all over his office. Down to every detail. And the articles, like the actual articles themselves, were written from the point of like a third party reporter documenting the great glorious life of this human being. Because we all say it, we all want to be huge and we all want to make headlines. Let's go make some headlines and let's bring that shit to life. So for everyone listening, play around with that idea. Go do it. Go create articles of your own life. Damn. Wow.
Yeah, you guys gonna see my new Forbes article?
There you go. What does it say in red there?
In red, it says 7.8 billion lives changed, feeding millions.
Guys, this is manifestation at its core.
Manifesto.
That is beautiful. Do you guys not think that with that level of legitimate clarity, so clear? Let me ask you this. I'm going to take it one step further. And I don't think you've done this because that's a Forbes article, not a New York Times cover. I like the New York Times cover because I feel like it's a little bit old school. Is there a date on it?
There's not a date on here.
When you all do this, put a date on it. December 1st, 2032. Sam Singh sells company for $150 million, being the youngest whatever. Put dates on it. Bring it to life. Write articles and make headlines of yourselves before anyone else even has the chance to, because they will. That is powerful, brother. Dude, props to you for doing that. That's legendary.
What's funny, I got something I'm going to share with you guys. Again, I'm going to share it with you guys offline because like this is something I'm not going to share online with like everybody. Because there is like, there's the idea, like I share my vision with the people who are going to grow it. Like I share my vision with the people who are going to pour good energy into it. Believe it or not, not everybody wants to see you win. And if you start to get that feeling that some people around you don't want to see you win, it's okay to not share your vision with them. It's okay to just leave the room. It's okay to be somewhere else and to be with people who are going to grow you. So I'm excited to show you guys something because it's what I call a vision video. A vision video. And it is a video message to me, from the future. And I got this from my buddy Nico Rapkulis. He sat down. He actually has a company called Vision Videos, and it is next level. I mean, like to the point where guys like David Meltzer, we had him at a podcast, a live in-person podcast, and we were talking about it. And he was like, dude, this is game changing. He's like, if I had this, I would have made my first 100 million way faster. Way faster. So I'm excited to share that with you guys. Yo, tonight was a fun episode. Yo, in the comments, did y'all enjoy us going a little off script and just having a conversation? Because basically what y'all witnessed tonight was a normal phone call between the four of us. Right? Like even the way like My homie Daryl is out there bouncing and bobbing. You know what I mean? Like that's exactly what it's like being on the phone with him in real life. You know, so if y'all got value from this, if this was a nice episode that y'all enjoyed listening and being a part of, what I want you to do is, first off, if you haven't done so already, subscribe and like on the channels that you're watching. If you're on my page, do me a favor, go over to Alejandro's page, go over to Daryl's page, go over to Sam's page and like and subscribe to this video, like and subscribe to their pages. We're working on growing that algorithm. When you do that, what happens is you're actually doing a favor to other people. When the algorithm sees that you enjoy this sort of content, that you like it, that you leave a comment, that you're subscribed to this channel, what happens is the algorithm does the work of finding the next person who is similar to us, who belongs in this room, who belongs hearing these sort of conversations, because there's some kid out there who is just like me, wandering around on YouTube at the age of 14 and 15 years old. I bumped into a Tony Robbins video, thank God, because the algorithm showed that to me, and that changed the trajectory of my life. And it's all because the people who had viewed previously, they had left comments, they had engaged with the social media. So if you're getting benefit from this, that's how you can start to pay it forward. Leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe. And if you want to take it up one notch, share this video with somebody who you think needs to hear about their purpose. Because this is, I don't know about y'all, I didn't grow up talking purpose in my house. No one ever brought it up. This was a conversation I had to go and discover on my own. And I wonder how different my life would have been, because I'm friends with a kid that I met when he was 10 years old. He's about 19 years now. He's in Penn State, D1 wrestler. When he and I met at the age of 10, he and I were already having conversations about purpose. Me, him, and his dad. It was an open dialogue between the three of us. And that kid is doing amazing things today. Phenomenal things. So do me that favor, y'all. And I'm going to let my man Sam close us out tonight. But, guys, I appreciate you all for being here today.
I mean, you already know how to pay your dues. Guys, this was, in my opinion, one of the most important things that we could talk about, because it is a reminder not just to go achieve great things, not just to go make a shit ton of money, but to truly live in our purpose. And I'm telling you right now, the four guys on this screen, we hold each other accountable to living in our purpose every single day. You guys need to do the same. That's it for today. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.